when we've deviated from the correct path, we can look right back towards Christ, and he's right there going, come on back, buddy, love you, get on over here.
Ain't that the truth?
So today we are talking about fatherhood. We always start our show with a proverb. Today's proverb is 22:6.
Yeah.
You want to read that one?
I do. And the proverb that we read, we always try to tie into what the topic of the day is. So this is Proverbs 22:6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. I want to just, whenever you read the Bible, it uses masculine language. So it says, train up a child in the way he should go. But today's language, we would say, train up a child in the way they should go. They, meaning he or she, they. Even when they are old, they will not depart from it. We talked about this last week. When we read a proverb like this, it's very easy to read this and go, okay, if I just train up my child to be a follower of Jesus, that when they're old, they will not depart from it. It's not a promise, it's a truism, right? We talked about that last week. So there's no guarantees, but the chances are that if this is the way that you train your child, then the most likely opportunity that they will turn out to be a follower of Christ when they're older is if I train them when they're younger to do it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Who wrote this proverb?
Solomon wrote.
Who's Solomon? He's the son of?
King David.
Is he the only son of King David?
No, he is not the only son of King David.
Was he the oldest?
He was not the oldest son of King David.
That's because he had some older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He had some older brothers. This I wrote down because I thought this was so darn interesting because it shows this contrast that you're talking about. He had two older brothers, for sure. He had more than that, but he had two. He had an older sister as well. He had Absalom and Amnon. And Absalom, not a good guy. He did something he had involuntary husbandry with his half-sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Amnon was not happy that his dad didn't take out full vengeance on Absalom.
Mm-hmm.
So then he took it out himself and he murdered him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the oldest brother, was Absalom. He was murdered by his younger brother, Amnon.
Mm-hmm.
And so neither one of those kids were trained up in the right ways by David.
Right.
I guess as David became an older dad, he became a better dad, maybe.
It's interesting.
We don't know.
If you
I can speculate.
If you go through the book of Kings,
yeah,
where you have the lineage of David,
yeah,
and you read through all these kings, it was like this king followed the Lord, and then this king did evil on the eyes of the Lord, and then this king followed the Lord, and then several kings did not follow the Lord. So we can look at the transition of David from king to king.
Sure. Even in David's kingship, he gets booted out by Amnon later on, who then gets killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you end up getting King Solomon, is because through this consecutive chain, there's just a lot of death.
Yeah.
And it's because of this disobedience.
And it all started with David. You know, David was
disobedient too. Who was Solomon's mom?
Right. But
right, so this is imperfect. That's why the Bible's so great. Is not because it shows you a trail of perfect people who you're supposed to mimic. It shows you a trail of imperfect people and then one perfect individual who did it right.
That's right.
And it goes, hey, we're welcoming all here because everyone's imperfect minus Christ.
That's right.
So that's why it's such a great tool to utilize and use in your own life, is because you are going to fall short.
Yeah. I think you said that well. The Bible is full of broken people.
Bingo.
And God uses broken people to show us that broken people can still become followers of the one perfect person, and that he can still use imperfect people to help disciple and lead others to Christ.
Bingo.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing that he did.
That's what's being said here. Train up your child in the ways he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
This is Solomon. Solomon's not the first kid. His brothers did badly, and maybe that's because they weren't trained up properly. And Solomon is trying to reflect that.
Or maybe they were trained up properly.
And they chose a different path.
That's
Rebellion
exactly right.
is certainly part of it, and we will talk about that in the next episode. In the case of, this is, Solomon is credited in the Bible as being one of the smartest people of all time.
Mm-hmm.
God gave him that wisdom. And he's saying, boy, if he's setting out this ideal path, that if you do spend the time to train up your kids well, they will follow the path all the days of their life. They might deviate it from time to time on the path because we all are we all have sin in our hearts and we all want to walk off the path and kind of test the other bounds. Grass is always greener.
Right.
But even when we go astray, when we've been taught who Christ is and the way that he loves and the way that he forgives and the way that he's always seeking that one from the 99, leaving the 99 behind and try to grab that one.
Mm-hmm.
We know that that's who he is. We always know that that's a safe landing place. So even when we've deviated from the correct path, we can look right back towards Christ, and he's right there going, come on back, buddy. Love you. Get on over here.
Ain't that the truth, man? I think that's such the beautiful picture of the cross is no matter how many times I wander, he's always still there.
And you know that because somebody gave that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because somebody gave that to me. It didn't happen to be my father, but it happened to be some men in my life along the path that shepherded me the correct way.
Yeah.
And I'll carry that all the rest of my life.
And you feel it too. Like every time, you wander, it's like even a relationship with your own father. Like when I do wrong and I come home and I see that look of disappointment, I know that there's going to be some discipline coming with it that I don't like.
Sure.
But on the backside of it, if a father is disciplining correctly, which we'll get into here in a little bit, there is that restoration part that you feel where your heart just feels still connected to a father. And Jesus does the same thing for us, or God the Father does the same thing for us. Was in this world when we mess up, all he's asking for us to do is come back in a mode of repentance and be like, God, I messed up. Even though I'm forgiven once and for all, I still live on a short leash with God of where I want to be. I want to be focused on these bad decisions that I'm making so that I can make better decisions going forward.
Well, yeah, you're saying in that moment, I identify what I did. My intentions now are to change. And God is very intention driven. That's what he wants to see from us is our intentions consistently. Because again, you're always going to fall short of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when you go to God and you say, oh, here's what I did. I recognize it. And it's a humbling effort too, because, you almost don't want to sometimes. You kind of like...
Why
you already know what I did.
Why do you think you don't want to?
Well, because you have a sinful little heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that we're inclined towards that and because we're ashamed.
Yeah.
Shame's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't want to, you'll get broken all the way down too. It's like you're so proud. We talk about that. Pride is like the ultimate sin that we have. It's the root of all sin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. It's like this, I'm too proud to just say I screwed up again. Because it can be again. It can be, this is the 50th time today.
And that can be, it will be.
Well, sure. There you go. So then you're like, again. You're Bill Murray in Groundhog's Day,
right? Waking
up every day to the same stuff. And you're going like, am I ever going to learn this? And that's really the case. It's like, once you can start doing that, am I ever going to learn this?
But what you just said right there, it's the battle. That's how I know I have Jesus, is because it's the battle. If I wasn't battling, if I was just like, well, I guess this is who I am, and I just stay stuck in that, then I'm like, you might need to have a moment where you meet King Jesus.
Great point.
Because it's not about perfection; it's about that faithfulness.
Yeah, that's
all we're called to, is just live faithful lives, and we're going to battle until the day we die with our lustful hearts and our prideful hearts. And every day I'm going to wake up and know I'm going to do battle today, I'm going to do battle today. And
there's honor in that. There's this honor of being able to put on the full armor of Christ and to step out into the world, which is what it is, and walk a different path that is counterculture, and hang your head high and say, but I have hope in eternity with Christ. Yeah. And there's like a lot of honor in that, and it feels good knowing that you're doing that. And actually, as men, we're kind of like, and I'm just speaking, we always speak for men because we're two men. You can hang your head high on that. You can feel like proud because it's a righteous proud. Mm-hmm. It's the proud of, I'm representing God today, and I'm going to try my darndest to do it, and I'm probably going to fall short, and that's how that's going to be. But my intentions are true and my heart is true today.
Yeah, it's that sacred honor we've talked about before. It is a sacred honor that I do get a battle, that I do get to wrestle with this. And I was at this restaurant the other day.